Good morning. Welcome to Sunday. Greetings wherever you are. For those of you on Zoom who I can see, nice to see you. Those of you on Facebook and YouTube who I can't see you, welcome. Good to be with you. Coming from my temporary new location in the southern states. Just settling in for a second. Over the course of these discussions over the past several months, every now and then I have referenced the four agreements. And a couple of people have suggested that I do a talk on the four agreements, which I'm going to do today. And one of the things I like about the four agreements, which I will get into in detail, is they really do mirror the Dharma. If you look across sort of the arc of a lot of the spiritual traditions, the ones that tell you to go out and have a direct experience, there is a thread, and the principles discussed in the four agreements are a thread that also runs through the Buddha Dharma and through the more what I refer to as mystic expressions of Christianity. I refer to mysticism as anything that tells you to go out and have a direct experience of the sacred. So today we're going to talk about the four agreements, and I will draw a connection between that and the Dharma as best I can. But first, before I do anything else, I want to thank Laura Cannon for filling in for me last week. I hope that went well. I peeked in for a second, but I hope you enjoyed her. I certainly do enjoy her. She does a group on Monday nights at 7:30 out of Bethesda, and I usually do that group. So, a bow of thanks to Laura. So let's sit. Why don't we start by finding a comfortable meditation posture. And that is something in which you are alert, but not slumping, relaxed, but awake. If you're sitting upright, just sort of let your spine fall into its natural upright. There's sort of like a little curve, but without like slumping down. Sometimes it helps to like just pushing your chin a little bit. And it's like you have a string at the top of your head, and it's like it sort of straightens the top of your spine. And sort of lower your gaze, because that relaxes the muscles around your eyes. And gently close your eyes. And let's start with a few slow, deep breaths, deep into the belly. And just receiving the inhale about 3/4. And a slow, gentle breath out. A couple of more slow, deep breaths just to help us connect to the breathing. And on the exhale, just begin to relax and soften your body. And letting your breathing return to normal. Let's take a moment to notice as we breathe in and out, to notice the touch points. Noticing the sensations of your feet resting on the floor. Noticing the sensation of your bottom on the cushion or in the chair. The sensations of gravity doing its thing. Noticing the sensations of your hands resting on your lap. And continuing to relax and soften on the out breath. Relaxing the muscles in your face and around your eyes. Relaxing your jaw muscles. Relaxing your shoulders. And letting yourself be aware of any place where you're holding tension or tightness. And just breathing into it. And relaxing to whatever degree you can. And now let your attention come to the physical sensations of the body breathing. Some people focus on the sensations of the air moving in and out of your nose. Some people focus on the sensations of the chest or belly moving up and down. Whatever's easy. Just resting your focus and your attention on your awareness of the body breathing in and out. Your mind wanders off. That's okay. Just notice it without going down the road into whatever the content of your thinking is. Just noticing the phenomenon of thinking. You can inwardly bow to it gently and say thinking, just to acknowledge it. And come back and begin again with the focus on your breathing. Just letting the mind and the body settle into this moment. Bringing your attention back to your breathing when it wanders off. Making an agreement to just keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back to the present moment. Using the breath as an anchor. Making an agreement to be kind and gentle and compassionate with your experience of this practice. And you notice that you've wandered off, and make an agreement to come back. And resume your focus on the sensations of the body breathing. And as we come towards the end of this sitting, just making an agreement to be in the present moment for these minutes. And maybe to remember from time to time during the day to notice when we've exited our present moment experience. And come back to a center. And may it be that the experience of this practice encourages and enables us to look out upon the people around us and the environment around us through kind eyes, with kindness, with compassion, with patience and forbearance. Noticing the experiences that may make us feel rattled, but knowing that we are okay. And being able to return to compassion and self-compassion. May it be that the benefits of this practice allow us to radiate kindness and compassion into our households, into our neighborhoods, into the world around us, into our interactions with individual people. May the benefits of this practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and at peace. Thank you for your practice. It's good to be with y'all again. I missed you last week. As usual, I have put information in the chat for those of you who need it or want it. It's the information for how to access these Zoom meetings and also how to tap into the Facebook feed. These sessions are archived on my YouTube channel. There's a link for that. And my website. And of course, all these meditations and teachings are freely given, absolutely. But if you feel moved to donate, there's a link for that. So, as I said before, I thought today I would talk about the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements are based on, well, they were formulated and published by a Toltec Indian healer named Don Miguel Ruiz. Don, the title Don, like the show of respect. And he suggests, and I believe correctly so, we navigate the world and the culture by making agreements. All kinds of agreements, hundreds of agreements. I agree to pay for my groceries rather than steal them. I agree to stop at red lights. I agree to be here on Sunday mornings, and if I can't, to find a substitute. I agree to pay the rent on this house. All kinds of agreements. And he says there are these 4 agreements that we can make that will change our lives for the better. And I agree. And I think it echoes a lot of what we hear in the Dharma. The 4 agreements are, first, to be impeccable with your word. And we're going to talk about what that means. I think it relates to right speech, which is one of the elements of the Eightfold Path. The second agreement is to take nothing personally, which I believe relates to the second noble truth of attachment and attachment to views. The third agreement is to make no assumptions, which I believe also relates to the second and third noble truths, and to the teachings of self and non-self, and to the teachings of the two truths. And the fourth agreement is to always do your best. That's the self-compassion agreement. And he defines that as whatever you're doing, your best is whatever you're doing now. I may have done this better last week, but causes and conditions were different last week, and I may do this better next week, but causes and conditions will be different next week. Recognizing that I'm doing the best I can. The first agreement, to be impeccable with your word. One of the folds of the Eightfold Path is right speech. And I think what, at first glance, when he says being impeccable with your word, he's talking about honesty, and he is, to be honest. Impeccably honest, and I think a lot of people work on that. It's also, there's a saying in Al-Anon, wait, W-A-I-T, why am I talking? To know why you're delivering whatever it is you're delivering through speech. To do so with some intention, to do so with some kindness and compassion. To not harm. To say what I mean and mean what I say. And for me, personally, I put a lot of value on doing what I say I'm going to do. That's part of being impeccable with my word. That's part of right speech. If I say I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up. If I can't, I'll let you know why. It just makes life easier. As somebody once maybe sarcastically remarks, the truth, if nothing else, is the easiest thing to remember. It's just easier to navigate the world when you're being truthful and kind and direct in speech. The second agreement goes to self and not self. Take nothing personally. Imagine what your world would feel like if you just didn't take any of it personally. Somebody's being angry and yelling at you, or somebody's being angry and taking a negative inventory of your character. Recognizing that that has nothing to do with you. That person isn't acting out in front of you because that person would be doing the same thing in front of anybody else, so it really has nothing to do with you anyway. This is just how they behave. If we internalize it and take it in, then what we're allowing to have happen is we're allowing an external force or incident to trigger whatever internal unresolved stuff we have going on. Which can be fine in that it offers us an opportunity to look at where our wounds are and what still needs to be healed. If I'm acting out angrily, you can look inside and say, what's happening to me with that? Not what is that person doing to me? Because that person isn't actually doing anything to you, they're just acting out. Not taking things personally, and it's a practice. All of these things are practices. Not taking things personally sort of allows us to move through the world more like it's made of silk than flypaper. If we move through the world taking everything personally, I can give an entire talk on any one of these. It's just occurring to me right now. If we move through the world taking things personally, everything kind of sticks to us. Right? And then it becomes fodder for that narrating part of the mind, which is always defaulting negative anyway. So there's a saying, that I've heard in Buddhism, and I don't know if it's an accurate quote, but it says, don't let somebody else's behavior interrupt your serenity. It's not about you. It took me a long time to realize that. And I have to remind myself all the time. And which brings us to the third agreement. The third agreement is to make no assumptions. I like that. It speaks to what Suzuki Roshi referred to as the beginner's mind. My father used to like to tell this story. My father was a great storyteller. He used to like to tell this story about a guy who, his lawnmower broke down and he needed to borrow the lawnmower from his neighbor. So he decides to walk next door and see Dave and ask about the lawnmower. And as he's walking up the street to Dave's house, he's starting to think, haven't heard from Dave for a while. He didn't really talk to me that much at the block party, but I saw him talking to my wife. I'm wondering if it's like something going on and the two of them have something happening and they're like pushing me out. He's got this whole thing going on and all these assumptions he's starting to make about why Dave hasn't really been in touch with him very much, and he's getting worked up in a lather. And by the time he gets to Dave's house, he's kind of partially out of his mind. And he bangs on the door, and Dave opens the door and smiles. And our guy says, "Take back your lousy lawnmower." This is what making assumptions can do for you. Assumptions are part of that thinking mechanism of the mind that is not really reflective of reality. The thinking, narrating mind takes what's happening in front of us and then interprets it rather than relates to what's actually happening in front of us. And as I've said many times before, our experience is in two parts. Here's what happens. Here's what we tell ourselves about what happens. These are separate. And the example I like to use is this. What am I doing? People might assume that I'm flipping you off. People have seen me do this exercise before. Your thinking mind is making the assumption that Ken's having some sort of episode and he's flipping us off. But here's what's actually true. I have tendon damage right here. When I was working at the newspaper, they replaced all the keyboards. About 6 months later, everybody started reporting ergonomic injuries. So this tendon swells up a little bit. So when I go like this, there's a little tunnel right here. It's like the carpal tunnel. The tendon catches sometimes. So when I go like this, I have to physically push it down. It kind of clicks. But the assuming mind, the narrating mind, thinks that this actually means something other than Ken's hand is injured. And certainly don't take your assumptions personally. Early on, when I first started doing these meditations and talks, there was someone who comes here fairly regularly who disappeared in the middle of the presentation, in the middle of my talk. And my assumption was, oh, I just lost that person. I was bored. I was boring. She was bored and clicked off. And she later sent me a note that she lost her internet connection. Right? That's just the way the mind works. And there's a part of my mind that defaults into that thing. And I certainly don't assume that I know what I'm talking about. And I'm doing the best I can. I don't always assume that I know what I'm doing. But if you make no assumptions and you take nothing personally, then you can actually see more clearly from a mindful space what's happening right in front of you. Because to the degree that we let that narrating mind take things personally and make assumptions about them is the degree that we are not having a clear view of what is our reality. And I say again, as I say all the time, there's a reason why they call it practicing meditation, practicing these principles, as they say in the 12-step world. No one is going to walk away from a talk like this or from a 12-step meeting or a lecture or whatever and get it. We practice remembering. Somewhere in the middle of the reverie about how I'm taking whatever it is personally, I can remember, this has nothing to do with me. I'm down here in Florida, which is a pretty conservative part of the world, and a friend of mine was talking about, she went into a restaurant and she was wearing a mask, and some drunken guy at the bar started yelling at her about the mask. It's like, okay. Random people thinking that they can comment on the choices we're making in our lives. I said, what did you do? She said, I just didn't take it personally. He was having an episode. Yeah, the guy's having an episode. That's a reflection of his suffering. When people are being difficult in front of you, and when people are treating you unkindly, that's a reflection of their suffering that they can't hold, so they're delivering it to you. So there's no need to take it personally, and the assumptions don't really matter. If you're in the therapy business, you know about this guy. His name is Salvador Minuchin, arguably the father of family therapy. And I used to go to his presentations at these conferences, and I would sit in the front row because I can't get enough of that stuff. And what he would do is he would show videos of him working with families. And then he would take questions, which I thought was like the coolest thing in the world. And this woman steps up to the microphone. Hi. Did I just blink out for a second? Hello, did I just blink out for a second?
Yeah, it froze. Now it's back.
What was the last thing you heard?
You were talking about Salvador Minuchin, arguably the father of family therapy.
Okay,
yeah, that was the last thing I heard as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm watching this presentation with Minuchin, and what he would do is he'd show videos of him working with families, and then he would take questions. And this one woman, on the subject of assumptions, walks up to the microphone and says, what were your diagnostic assumptions about the woman in the video? And he almost sneered at her, with a great Argentine accent. He goes, yes. He goes, my assumptions? Don't matter. And I think that's a really good piece of wisdom. My assumptions? Don't matter. So, being impeccable with your word, taking nothing personally, making no assumptions, and then the last agreement is always do your best. And I think it's great that that's the fourth of the four because it kind of ties all the other three together. The best I can do is whatever I'm doing now. I may have done this better last week, but causes and conditions were different last week. I may do it better next week, but causes and conditions will be better next week. It's an opportunity for self-compassion. It's an opportunity to know and remember and remind myself as often as I must, which is very often. I'm doing the best I can. It's good enough. When I became a therapist, there's 2 exams you have to take. There's the written exam, which is 400 multiple choice questions. And then there's the vignette exam, which is basically 10 questions where they give you like a vignette. Dave and his son come into therapy and they do this and that and this and that. And what would you do? And I passed the first exam and did not pass the second exam. Wasn't feeling so great that day. I felt like I was off my game, but I took it again 6 months later. Had to step back and say, okay, that was the best you could do at that moment. It's the way it is. I was a newspaper reporter for more than 20 years, and sometimes, deadlines at 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, you push send, and that's it. Because at 4:01, there's a little email message at the top of my screen from my editor. It's just 3 question marks and an exclamation point. Right? Push send. Sometimes it's Pulitzer level copy. Sometimes not so much. Doing therapy sessions, sometimes I felt like I was really focused and on and present, and sometimes not so much. We're all doing the best we can at any given moment. So it's important to take that as an opportunity for self-compassion and just to recognize that, okay, that's fine. I'm doing all right. This is the best I can do. It's good enough. So this talk today was the best I could do. It's good enough. I hope you found it helpful, or at least entertaining. Thank you for your kind attention. To the Facebook people who were wondering what was going on when I was talking about disappearing, Zoom cut out for about 30 seconds or so and came back. So we're all doing the best we can. And somebody posted a question asking who could see the messages in the chat. I have it set so that everybody can see the messages in the chat. Any questions or comments? Susan writes, thank you, Ken. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad you're here. Thanks, Julie. Good to see you, too. For those of you who want to reference the 4 agreements, it's in a book titled The 4 Agreements. The author is Don Miguel Ruiz. When I was first starting out as a therapist, when I had hair, and this was black, and I was an intern, my good friend Juan gave me a copy of the 4 Agreements and said, this is everything you need to know. And, being like an intern in green and thinking everything had to do with that, I said, oh, everything I need to know to be a good therapist? And yes, it is. But he said, it's just everything you need to know. So, it's a good book. It's a good read. I encourage you all to check it out. I guess that's it for today. I'm really grateful to see y'all. And blessings. See you next week.